There we there. Is that better? Let me tilt this back here more. Okay. So I'm trying to tilt the computer here with the blanket. We are back in my bedroom. Because apparently it was so fantastic yesterday. Also, there's a mountain of blankets blocking his bedroom door, so it's easier to get into here. Although if someone stopped pulling the blankets out of the closet, they wouldn't be that issue. Okay. So, customary cough. So yesterday, when we left off, Elijah had died, but Elisha, sorry, say my name, was the prophet, and we've got King Ahab who died, and we got this wicked artwork of fire horses, which I think I showed off at the end of the last stream, but excuse my Bible falling apart. But there's that. I'd be surprised if this Bible wasn't falling apart. This is the same one that my grandmother read to me when I was his age. So, fact. The copyright says 1986. So that's how old this one is. Alright, anyway. We are at 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 17 through 24. Okay. Elisha's servant is frightened when he sees the Syrian army. But as Elisha prays, the servant looks up to see chariots of fire surrounding the prophet. The army of heaven is with Elisha. To save the city from attack, Elisha and his servant go out to meet the enemy. At once, the Syrian soldiers close in on them. Elisha prays, and suddenly, I can't see. What's happened? I'm blind. Come with me. I know the one you seek, and I'll take you to him. Elisha leads the enemy soldiers 10 miles south and into the capital of Israel. O Lord, open their eyes that they may see. Instantly, the sight returns to the Syrians. We're in Samaria. We're trapped. They'll kill us. Shall we kill them, Elisha? No. Feed them and send them home. Well, that's awfully nice. To the amazement of the Syrians, they are given food and told to return home. I can't believe it. We tried to kill both the king and Elisha, and now they treat us like friends. Back home, the Syrians talk about the kindness of the Israelites, and for a time there is peace between the two nations. But after a while, we'll cut off all food supplies to Samaria, surround it, and starve the people into surrender. Excellent. And the longer they hold out, the easier they will be to take. So the Syrian army pitches its tents around the walls of Samaria and waits. I wonder how long they can hold out. A starving city. From 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 25 through chapter 7, verse 5. Samaria, the capital of Israel, is surrounded by the Syrian army. The city makes a brave stand to hold out, but as months pass and no food is allowed into the gates, the people plead for action from the king. Our children are dying. We must have food. I'd rather take my chances fighting the enemy than starving to death. Who has enough strength to fight now? This is the moment the queen mother Jezebel has been waiting for. Your people are starving. And what is Elisha's God doing about it? Nothing. Get rid of Elisha and call on my God, Baal. You're right, mother. I'll order him put to death at once. As King Jehoram's soldiers set out on his errand of death, Elisha is visiting with his friend. Bar the door, please. The king is sending a soldier to kill me. How could Elisha know that? The king suddenly becomes worried about killing the prophet, rushes after his soldier, and reaches Elisha just in time. If God isn't going to help us, we might as well surrender now. Our people are starving. No, the Lord says there will be food enough for everyone tomorrow. The anxious king is willing to wait until the next day. But outside the city, 4 lepers have not heard Elisha's prophecy. I'm starving. I'm going to try to break into the city and get some food. Why do that? There's no food in there. Then let's go over to the Syrian camp. Maybe they'll give us something to eat. Maybe they'll kill us. Either way, there's nothing to lose. We'll starve if we stay here. In desperation, the 4 hungry lepers approach the Syrian camp. Something strange is going on. There's not a guard in sight. Maybe it's a trap. Maybe it is, but I'd rather die quickly than starve to death. Come on. There's nobody here. The missing enemy. Driven by hunger, 4 lepers from outside the walls of Samaria go to the enemy camp for food. To their amazement, they find it deserted. Food, enough for all of us. This stew is still warm. They must have just left. And in such a hurry, they even forgot their gold. Their hunger satisfied, the lepers quickly searched the Syrian tents. More gold. We're rich. Look, people won't be surprised to see me in this? Surprised? They'll say you stole it. Then you'll really be in trouble. He's right. Let's hide everything. It isn't right for us to keep all of this food from the starving people of the city. If we don't tell the good news, some punishment may come to us. The men go back to the city and pound on the gates until a guard answers. The Syrians are gone. Gone? Where? How do you know? We don't know where or why, but we were in their camp. They left their food, tents, horses, everything. I'll get word to the king right away. Roused from his bed, King Jehoram receives the news and calls his advisors. It's a trap. The Syrians are waiting in ambush to capture us if we leave the city. Maybe, but let's send out a few men to see what's going on. The king's men quickly pick up the Syrian trail by following the clothes, weapons, and vessels dropped along the way. What could have happened to make trained soldiers throw away their weapons and run for their lives? Look, more shields. The Syrians are letting nothing slow them down in their flight. The sound of marching men. From 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 14 through chapter 9, verse 12. The Israelite scouts follow the fleeing Syrian army to the Jordan River. Along the way, they overtake one of the enemy soldiers. Pull up. Here's one who dropped behind. Maybe he can tell us what happened. Why did you Syrians desert camp in the middle of the night? We were going to be attacked. We thought the Hittites were coming from the north and the Egyptians from the south to trap us. We rode around your camp. There was no sign of even a scouting party, let alone 2 armies. Did you really see them? No, but we heard them. Thousands of soldiers, horses, and chariots. We wouldn't have had a chance against such might. The sound of armies. Real enough to frighten the whole Syrian camp. What do you make of it? It was a miracle, used by Elisha's God to frighten the Syrians away. Elisha's God, yes, that fits in with the promise that by today there would be food for everyone. Back in Samaria, the starving Israelites rush out to the Syrian camp, eat their fill, and haul the rest of the food back to the city. You said there would be food, Elisha, but I didn't believe you. It was the Lord who promised the food, and you can always count on the promises of God. In spite of the fact that God has saved Israel, King Jehoram and his mother keep on worshipping Baal. When one of his brothers, his border cities, is attacked by the king of Syria, Jehoram goes to its defense. Wounded in the battle, he leaves Captain Jehu in charge and returns home. It's like I'm saying Star Wars names sometimes. While king is away from the army, Elisha calls on for a young prophet to make a quick journey for him. Take this oil, go out to where our army is camped, and do what I tell you. At the camp, the young prophet searches until he finds a group of officers. Captain Jehu, please come with me. I must speak to you alone. Thus says the Lord, I have anointed you to be king over Israel, to fight for those who worship me, and against those who worship Baal. What did that fellow want? He was a messenger from God, and he anointed me king of Israel. What's going to happen when King Jehoram learns of this? Revenge of Israel. From 2 Kings chapter 9, verses 13 through 32. Okay. You're doing pretty good tonight. Jehu, a captain in the army, has just been anointed king of Israel. His men go wild with joy. They blow their trumpets and throw down their garments to make a throne. Jehu is king. Long live the king. My first job is to get rid of Jezebel's son, King Jehoram. Are you with me? We're with you, to a man. I don't know exactly what that means. Jehoram is in Jezreel. We have to get to him before he learns what happened. Jehu and a company of men set out at once, and as they approached Jezreel, chariots, a whole line of them. The leader must be Jehu. He's driving so fast. When the news reaches King Jehoram, he believes Jehu is bringing news of the war. So, with his visitor, King Ahaziah of Judah, he rides out to meet Jehu. Do you bring news of peace? How can there be peace in Israel when your mother Jezebel worships Baal? Too late, Jehoram sees that Jehu has come to overthrow the kingdom. He tries to escape, but Jehu's arrow strikes him down. That's the first blow struck for Israel. But now the last. Now Jezebel must pay for her sins. In spite of Jehu's surprise attack, news reaches the palace before he does. Queen Jezebel, Jehu has killed your son. His men are after the king of Judah. Jehu, he'll be here next. Quickly, she puts on her crown and goes to the window in time to see Jehu ride through the gate. There she is, Jezebel, the most evil woman in all Israel. Who is on my side? A queen's plot. From 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 32 to chapter 11, verse 3. See, the point is to see you and me. There we go. When the palace servants discover that Jehu is now king of Israel, they show their allegiance to him by pushing Queen Jezebel from the window to her death in the street below. So Jezebel pays with her life for the evil she has done, and Elijah's prophecy is fulfilled. Jehu wipes out the worship of Baal in Israel, destroy the idol of Baal, break down the heathen temple. From this day on, it shall be a place to dump refuse. To the south, in the kingdom of Judah, Jezebel's daughter, Athaliah, receives the news. I bring bad news. Your mother, Queen Jezebel, and your son, King Ahaziah, have been killed by Israel's new king, Jehu. Poor little, just That's got to be Josh, right? Yeah. Your father is dead and your grandmother hates you. Stop whispering. Take my grandson away and leave me alone in my terrible grief. But Athaliah's grief is only a cover for her plan. My son is dead. Now, if his sons were dead, I could rule over Judah. Then we would be free to worship Baal. She acts at once to carry out her bold plot. Order your soldiers to kill all of the king's male relatives. Don't let one of them escape. Not one. But news of the plot reaches the dead king's sister. The queen has gone mad. She has ordered soldiers to kill the king's sons. Hide Josh in a storeroom until we have a chance to get him out of the palace. That night, it's rotten business killing babies. It was Queen Athaliah's wish, not ours. That was close. Yes, the slightest cry could cost Josh his life. We must hurry. Joash? Could be Joash. I don't know. I'm terrible with names, I do know. The Temple Secret from 2 Kings chapter 11, verses 1 through 12. Under cover of darkness, the two women hurry to the temple of God. The high priest Jehoiada? No, that's not right at all. Jehoiada? Baby. Answers their frantic knock. We have baby Joash. That's gotta be right. I don't know. Help us save him from the queen. Come in, hurry. Only the priests use this room. Joash will be safe here as long as it is necessary to hide him. A few hours later, the queen's officer gives his report. The king's relatives have been put to death as you commanded. Good. Now there is no one to say I cannot rule Judah. For 6 years, Athaliah rules Judah with a cruel hand, until at last the people begin to complain. Unknown to them, in a secret room of the temple, young Prince Joash is being trained by the high priest. What's this? The idol Baal, the cause of all the trouble in Judah. Your grandmother worships it. When you are king, you must destroy it and lead your people back to God. Now tell me the word of God you have learned today. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. One day, a priest of the temple comes to Jehoiada. I pray that God will deliver Judah from this idol worship. And God has answered your prayer. I have sent for all the captains of the guard to meet secretly in the temple. Come, in the temple. Men, this is Prince Joash, the rightful ruler. I'm going to crown him king of Judah on this coming Sabbath. Be there with all your men to protect him. Next Sabbath in the palace. The sound of cheering. It comes from the temple. I wonder what it means. Boy king of Judah. From 2 Kings chapter 11, verses 13 to 21, and 2 Chronicles chapter 24, verses 1 through 23. Could you stop knocking me around? Queen Athaliah hears the sound of shouting and rushes to the temple to find a small boy being crowned king. God save the king. Long live the king of Judah. God save the king. Treason, treason. Stop this at once. Who is he? Your grandson, Joash, now king of Judah. That's a lie. Joash is dead. Get rid of this boy. Stop. Take her out of the temple. Queen Athaliah is forced from the temple and put to death. In the temple, Coronation of King Joash continues. Do you promise to obey God's law and rule your people according to his word? I promise. Under the guidance of Jehoiada, the high priest, Joash destroys the temple of Baal and leads his people back to the worship of God. The house of God is repaired, and for years Judah prospers. But when Jehoiada dies, Joash is too weak to stand up under the pressure of those who would turn him away from God. Finally, Jehoiada's son, Zechariah, goes to the king. King Joash, I speak to you as my father would speak. Your people are returning to Baal and forsaking God. Judah will be destroyed unless you stop them. As soon as Zechariah leaves, the worshippers of Baal give their advice. Zechariah is a troublemaker. He should be put to death before he turns all Judah against you. You're right. Stir up the people so that they will get rid of him. And so Joash, once a good king, listens to evil advice. Zechariah is stoned to death by a mob, and soon his prophecy of disaster comes true. Dagger in the night. From 2 Kings chapter 12 through chapter 18, verse 10. When King Joash turned away from God, Zechariah predicted disaster would come soon and an attack by the king of Syria, who is on a campaign of conquest. During the attack, the men who had advised Joash against Zechariah were killed. In an attempt to save Jerusalem, Joash tries to buy off the enemy. Gifts from my lord, King Joash of Judah. He asks that you accept them and leave Jerusalem in peace. Tell your king I accept his offer. Having acquired an easy fortune, the king of Syria calls back his army and marches on. Jerusalem is saved, but Joash falls gravely ill. How is the king today? No better, no worse. Too bad the Syrians didn't kill the king along with the men who advised him to murder Zechariah. With them gone, we could save Judah if it weren't for. You're thinking what I'm thinking. Shh, this isn't the time. But that night, when all the palace was asleep, remember, we're doing this to save our country. So Joash is murdered by his own men. For almost 100 years, Judah is ruled by kings who have wavered between worshiping God and heathen idols. Then Hezekiah comes to the throne. Our fathers disobeyed God, and Judah has become weak. We will serve the Lord, and with his help, make our nation strong again. At Hezekiah's orders, the temple is repaired, and the king leads his people back to the worship of God. But one day, the streets of Jerusalem are filled with alarm. Have you heard? The king of Assyria has destroyed the city of Samaria and taken the people of Israel away as captives. And Samaria is only 40 miles away. With the fall of Samaria, the northern kingdom of Israel comes to an end. Great masses of the people are carried away, never to return. Those left in the land mix with the races brought in by the conquerors. And we will stop there. And it looks like we're going into 2 Chronicles after that. All right. Hey, stop chewing blankets. And you silly boy. We have church tomorrow. Oh, there's a puppy. Oh, there's a silly puppy. Oh, no. Hey, Wiggly Booty. Hey. Oh, are you joining in on this? Nope. Okay. All right. Dale, do you want to say goodnight? No? All right. We will see you guys tomorrow for another stream. Night.